MLS Aces, episode 198. This is your host, Tom Sweezy. I'm joined by a familiar face, one I haven't seen in a few weeks, Jason Bevang. Jason, how are you, bud?
I'm doing well. You know, I was in New York last weekend.
I don't live there anymore.
I know, but this is a funny story. So you know how there was storms because you live in the area.
I'm very,
so you're aware of the storms?
A lot of the country is aware, but yes, I was aware.
We were supposed to leave on Thursday morning at like 6 a.m. So at 4 a.m. we were going to leave for the plane airport. And the get canceled or got like delayed and then it got canceled. So we just drove. So I was in a car for like 13 hours on Thursday, and then on the way back it was even more pain. But yeah, it was a fun time. Besides that, when I got there, the weather was beautiful.
What'd you do?
My brother lives there, so we just hung out, ate and drank basically.
I mean, that's are you? Is he in New York City or is
in Manhattan?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of places to eat and drink in Manhattan. It'll cost you $5,000 to do it, but I mean,
but it is possible.
And it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. And, you know, it's good to see you after, I think it was 3 weeks of not doing the podcast. Then episode 4, you weren't there last episode.
It's been a long time. I went to California and New York in that time span.
Jeez, you know, you're going everywhere, bro. You're going everywhere.
Not for a while, though. I'm here for a while.
You're here for a good time, not a long time, okay? That's what
No. Okay, maybe.
So I want to say to everyone who's going to be watching, listening to this live or afterwards, last episode of the podcast. If you guys did not see this on Twitter, I gave an update on what happened to the last episode. If you're looking at your podcast feeds and you're like, Tom said this is episode 198 and the last episode of my podcast feed is 196. I have an explanation for you. So Sam and I did the podcast.
It's a half-lost episode.
Sam and I did the podcast last week. Actually, last episode ran away to a bachelor party in Nashville. It was crazy. It was, you know, sleeping with sisters of teammates. It was crazy. You don't want to know what happened. But last episode, Sam and I recorded it. It was great. We previewed the USA-Canada game. We talked a little bit about USA El Salvador, some other moves going on in MLS, like Diego Rossi. We talked a little Tajon Buchanan, stuff like that, right? Catching up because we did go 3 weeks without an episode because life is crazy, right? I thought it got fully uploaded to the podcasting platform that we use. It was all good. Apparently, the file got corrupt. Apparently, the only way to check out episode 197 of the MLSAces podcast is YouTube. So if you want to check out last week's episode, you want to listen to it, do whatever, check it out on YouTube or on Twitch, actually, Twitch or YouTube if you're watching this live or you're watching this or listening to this afterwards. MLS Aces on YouTube, the MLS Ace on Twitch. Check it out if you want to. If not, you're listening to this, you're checking this out, and I totally appreciate it. And I know Sam, Jason, Vaughn, we all do as well. I mean, Jason, we should talk about the soccer. I'm so glad you had a great trip to New York. I'm really glad, that the storm didn't ruin that for you.
I'm glad we're back. I'm glad I'm back. I guess we're all not back, but
one day, maybe when we get to the playoffs, everyone will be back. Right?
Hopefully, I think so. We'll have some good prediction episodes.
That's the best ones. That's the best ones. Before we get started in talking about the soccer, I want to thank our sponsor, Added Time Outfitters, for sponsoring another episode of the MLS Aces podcast. And if you guys don't know what Added Time Outfitters is, then you're doing something wrong in your life if you call yourself a soccer fan or a fan of the beautiful game, because they really take a 90-minute story from your favorite team, your favorite club's most iconic moments and most iconic matches, and turn it into a 90-minute story that you can wear on your wrist in a soccer-inspired wristband. You can check out I think they're at 25 plus now wristbands on their website at addedtimeoutfitters.com, or follow them at Added Time Outfitters on any social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it may be. And you can check out all of the soccer-inspired wristbands that they have, from Liverpool, Barcelona, the U.S. Women's National Team, NYCFC, the Columbus Crew, and everything in between. You can get one for your favorite team. So definitely go to edittimeoutfitters.com, Edit Time Outfitters on any social media. Use promo code MLSAces to get 20% off your entire order. Support them, get a cool wristband for yourself, and support us by using our promo code again, MLSACES. So thank you to Edit Time Outfitters for sponsoring this episode. Let's talk about some soccer. Let's talk about the beautiful game and the U.S. men's national team. Obviously, a lot of episodes of the podcast recently this year have been focused on the USMNT because there's been...
It's a big year.
Last year, there was no games, right? Or very few games, 3 games, I think it was last year. Now they're all kind of getting jam-piled into this.
We had 3 within like the last week and a half?
We've had 3 in a week and a half, right? That's the crazy part, right? So we're catching up on all the USMNT games. We've talked a lot of Gold Cup, woohoo, we won. We've talked a lot of CONCACAF Nations League, woohoo, we won. But the real test starts now, right? What we failed to do last World Cup cycle in making the World Cup started, well, I guess last week. And, Sam and I, like I said, we already talked the El Salvador USA game. If you want to kind of check that out, go on our YouTube, go on our Twitch and find that, listen to that, watch that. But let's talk Canada. Let's talk Honduras. And I guess we'll start with the negative in Canada, the 1-1 draw that we had at home in Nashville against the Canadian men's national team. I guess I'm going to call it the negative. Do you agree with me that the draw against?
It's a disappointing draw. I think, much because I think you would agree we are the more talented team than Canada, and we should be not having as hard of a time. I guess it compounded with the fact that there was a 0-0 draw away at El Salvador. Both of those games kind of combined, I'd say, is like the bad, because if we win one and draw one, really, I think we have a much different perspective on it. Whereas drawing both and getting 2 points from both of those games when 6 was definitely within reach there, it's
not
sort of
just reach, but
well, it's just disappointing. Should they have won those? Yeah, I would have expected it, honestly.
I would have liked it, yeah.
What'd you say?
I said I would have liked it.
Yeah, it would have been great, and we would have been sitting here like ecstatic. But overall, I just felt like a lot of lackadaisical performances, things that I feel like you see in a team that isn't really. It's a little disjointed in some ways on the pitch. It seems like nothing is flowing as smoothly as it should, and a lot of what I would attribute some of that to is maybe they just haven't had enough time on the field together. But the more we use that excuse, the less of an at some point,
the more
you got to just be good, right? Like no national team has been playing game after game, week after week. So everyone deals with a very similar situation, and that's sort of on Greg and even on the players to be talking and to really figure out in the time that they have together the best way to play and the best way each of them can use their abilities to, benefit the whole team. Yeah. But overall, I just feel like we aren't getting that yet. And obviously last night there's a 4-1 win at, I guess for people listening 2 nights ago, but Honduras. And things seem to be a little better, but it took till the second half for things to really start clicking again. So that's almost quick math here, 180 plus 45, 225.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
225 minutes till we actually saw a team that seemingly was dominant in a way, which is way too long. And if that is going to be consistent that way, and we're only getting 5 points from 3 games, I don't know if that'll be enough. It might be. Right now it is, but after the next 11 games and the total, it's not a hex anymore, unfortunately. But
octagonal, bro.
Octagonal. Will that be enough? No, I don't think so. It could be, but at that point, I'd rather not be feeling like, oh, maybe.
Yeah. No,
been
exactly.
there, been in that seat before.
No, exactly. I mean, I truly think, right, like kind of jumping back to the Canada game really quickly, and I don't want to harp on the Canada game too much because obviously, like you mentioned, there was a game after, right? We had a win after.
Yeah.
But really, I think one thing that I mentioned after the El Salvador game last week and kind of what tied into the Canada game was just like a lack of just effort, a lack of like passion in the game and what in playing, right? Like that's really something that stood out to me as like just missing. And we saw that in El Salvador. El Salvador, the fans were jumping. Everyone was ecstatic and excited and pushing and all of that. And we didn't match that. And we came away with a 0-0 draw against El Salvador. We're at home, in Nashville. Like this is a place we should be dominating. This is a place we should be getting our points when we can. And we just didn't match the energy level of Canada. The goal we allowed to Kyle Larin, DeAndre Yedlin is not a slow player whatsoever, but he's caught too far up the field. Alphonso Davies is running down the field, beats him. Okay, fine. Someone else needs to come over and step. John Anthony Brooks is nowhere to be found with a wide open Kyle Larin in the box. It's just like everything was a step slow. Everything was a moment like just past all of our players, and that's just the type of kind of lackadaisical play that we saw last cycle and why we didn't make the World Cup last cycle, because we're going to be there. We're going to be fine, whatever. After the Canada game, and again, if you guys follow us on Twitter at MLSAces, you'll see a video that I posted of myself previous to the Honduras game. I was not overly concerned. We were 2 games into a World Cup qualifying cycle. A lot of these players, this is the first time they were ever playing in World Cup qualifying. Greg Berhalter, this is the first time he's coaching in World Cup qualifying. These are moments that you can't learn in Gold Cup or Nations League. These are moments you have to learn, unfortunately, in the games. And I think we're starting to learn it a little bit. At least it seems like we're starting to learn it a little bit. So I wasn't overly concerned about that. After the Canada game, I know people were freaking out again, calling for Greg's head like we do after every single U.S. game.
That's so frustrating too. That's one of the things. The Greg out after he's lost 1 game to Switzerland, I think.
Yeah,
I could be mistaking another, but I'm pretty sure in Switzerland to Switzerland, and it was a friendly. Like, I think we should let him go. Like, just he's earned a little bit of respect. I get the stuff where it's like, oh, the lineups are wrong. Even in the game we won 4-1 to Honduras, like the lineup did seem a bit, wrong in the first half, and he corrected it, and they were amazing in the second half. And who knows if that was all on him or some on the players? I don't really know, but I think it's getting tiresome to hear it on Twitter every single game.
At the end of the day, Greg Berhalter creates the 11 that goes out and starts the games, right? There has been moments between all of the competitions we've named where Greg Berhalter has gotten a starting 11 for a game wrong. And they have either squeaked into halftime or, like we've seen in the Gold Cup, or they have been down at the half, like we saw last night or 2 nights ago if you're listening to the podcast against Honduras. Greg Berhalter is a master class at halftime adjustments, because what he does at the half, he like overcorrects every mistake he puts out with the starting 11. And I will give him that credit. The first 20-ish minutes of last night wasn't bad. The last 25-ish minutes of last night, the first half, the first 20 minutes wasn't bad. The last 25 minutes of the first half was bad, was just awful. And then when he got into the second half, we dominated because he made adjustments, he made tactical changes, and he put players in positions to win. Greg Berhalter has tactics also for everyone who doesn't believe he has any tactical idea. But yes, go ahead.
No. The one thing I will say about just being dominant in the second half, sure, we did, and we scored 4 goals, but 2 of those goals were after the 85th minute. Like, in that point in time, is Honduras pushing up a little bit more to get an extra couple points or an extra point? Or, I'm not going to say, I'm not discrediting our goals, right? But at the same time, it's like there's a little bit more relaxation to a team, or not relax. There's a little bit more urgency probably that Honduras had, that actually probably left them a little bit more open, that allowed for us to get those two. I mean, a 4-1 goal in stoppage time, that it looks great, and it looks really great, but I'm not so sure that it's like the best half we've ever played, right? And I guess what I'm trying to say is I'd rather see a full 90 minutes where they're all playing with like this urgency and we need to score. And I don't know. I guess I don't really know where I'm going with that point, because I mean, Greg still got it wrong and he adjusted, and those players who came in were really good, right? Like Pepi came in, had a goal and 2 assists,
Pepe
and then
started, bro. Pepe started.
Oh, you're right.
Don't take that away from Ricardo. Anthony Robinson, right? Him coming in was a major
impact. Yeah. He wasn't. I mean, he scored within what, 4 minutes of being on.
So I will say this. I will say, to your point of the 2 goals coming in, what, the 85th minute after, it matters, right? Because goal differential matters within World Cup qualifying. Without Sebastian Leget's goal in, I think, 90+3 or whatever it was last night, we would be, I think, sitting in 4th or 3rd. We're sitting in 3rd. We'd be sitting in 4th or 5th, I think, due to goal differential of Panama and Canada. So it matters, right? At the end of the day, we need, if we get 5 goals in stoppage time to finish first in the group, we need that, right? Because if we're going to match Canada or match Panama or match Mexico on points, let's just make sure, we're plus 15 in the goal differential. Like it's not.
I mean, every goal definitely counts. That's a good point.
No, but for 100%. And obviously, like you said, would I love to see what we saw out of that second half USMNT for a complete 90 minutes? Yes. Greg Berhalter got the starting 11 all kinds of fucked up in this game against Honduras. I think coming out, we saw like no right backs. We saw McKenzie, Robinson, Brooks, Sands, Adams playing a makeshift right back, and Bello, right? So we saw like people. It was like a makeshift 5-man back that didn't really work up into Sands and I think Acosta, and it was messy. It wasn't good. I think everyone was trying to piece together. When they saw the list of names come out vertically, they were trying to piece together how the hell this goes on a soccer field.
When I saw the lineups come out, I looked at it on FootMob, and I was like, what is the starting lineup? It was absolutely unreal to look at it. It's so weird.
FootMob probably had like Josh Sargent in net. Like they're always wrong.
It was a 4 at the back, I'll tell you that much. And it was just weird players and weird everywhere.
So, yes. So Greg Berhalter got the starting 11 wrong. Would I love to see him, get that second half starting 11 right for a full 90? Yeah. So I think we should dive into that. And I guess if we haven't said it, U.S. won last night or 2 nights ago 4-1 over Honduras. We're sitting in a good spot in comparison to the rest of CONCACAF.
We're tied on goal differential with Canada and Panama.
Yeah. So after the Canada game, after these first 3 games overall, we're currently sitting in third place right now. I think because of goals scored, right behind Canada and Mexico. Mexico's leading World Cup qualifying right now in CONCACAF with 7 points. Canada, U.S., and Panama all sitting on 5. But
we would have been tied with Canada then, because they have 5 goals for.
Goals allowed? No, that doesn't make sense because goal differential. I don't fucking
goals
know.
allowed is the exact same thing. It's literally this. We have the exact same, except they have.
There's another tiebreaker. I don't know what it is.
They actually have more. Wait, I can't read this. Never mind. No, you're right. I don't know. The goals allowed is the same, and the goals for is the same.
Whatever. There's another tiebreaker that for whatever reason it is, we're too dumb to figure out the reason why. For whatever reason.
I was looking at these numbers. I was like, wait a second. What is going on here?
Canada is in second with 5 points plus 3 goal differential. We're in third with 5 points and a +3. And Panama's in fourth with 5 points and a +3 goal differential. After that, you get Costa Rica, El Salvador, and Honduras all on 2 points. And then Jamaica in last with 1 point after 3 games of CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. So I'll give an update there on kind of where things sit. So thank you for that, Jason. I kind of forgot that, that update there. There are 11 games to go, so that is a positive that we can definitely talk about. But
there's a ton of time. That's another thing. It's like every game isn't, the last game.
No.
Obviously, we want a full 3 points at every game.
Yes.
But 1 point is better than 0.
If we can start winning at home, too, I'll also take that. That would probably be a positive. That will probably be.
I think the biggest negative from those first 2 loss or draws was the drawing at home. Because that shouldn't happen. Everyone talks about CONCACAF and you got to win your home games. And that was a home game, and we have to do that.
Yeah. Canada's probably thrilled. They got a point on the road in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. That's great. Good for them. Now last night we got 3 points on the road in Honduras, right? Like that's great as well. But we need to do that, against the Canadas, get those points back there, do it against Mexico, right? If we get a point against Mexico on the road in this World Cup qualifying, I'm thrilled, at the end of the day, I'm very happy about that. But let's talk, I guess, about the players, the performances, because at the end of the day, that's the key point right there. And we're aware of the Weston McKennie situation. If any of you guys got the joke to start the podcast of, where last episode went, we're aware. We will talk about the alleged Weston McKennie incidents after this. But he'll definitely come up in the reason why I think maybe we drop points against Canada and obviously the central midfield depth as well. But let's start in net. So Matt Turner's the dude, right? No question about it. Zach Steffen, his COVID or his injury case that happened, these games really hurt him at a chance at starting keeper.
How quickly, or I guess maybe it's already happened, but is Matt Turner the number 1 now in your mind?
1,000%. 1,000%.
I think so too. I mean, the guy is just an absolute menace at blocking shots.
I don't know where in my brain it immediately switched from Zach Steffen's R1 and Turner is fighting Horvath for a 2 to now Turner's clearly R1. There's a good chunk of ground between Turner and Steffen. Doesn't mean we're never going to see Steffen or Horvath again, but Turner is the dude I want in net in an important game.
I agree. And I think Steffen still has his huge upsides, but the guy's got to get on the field.
Yeah, I think
that's the biggest thing. It's like he's losing out these spots because Matt Turner is healthy and taking his chances and performing well. He's performing very, very well. But Zach Steffen isn't even having an opportunity to perform because he's holding his own. I mean, he's injured, but he's also at Man City. Is he getting a lot of time? No, it's like these garbage games in the FA Cup or whatever.
Carabao Cup, bro. Come on, it's important. Minutes.
Whatever, Carabao Cup. No one cares about it anyway.
I agree. If Zach Steffen was the starting keeper at Manchester City, I think we're having a different conversation. But right now, the only goalkeepers in this group who are playing club minutes are
hard to have him.
Yeah, are Horvath and Turner, right? Steffen's technically the one not playing. I know Pep Guardiola apparently loves Zach Steffen. I think I just saw some recent, comments from Pep that he wants to sign Steffen to a contract extension. But if he's,
play him.
If he's riding the bench over Ederson, I think Ederson. Yeah, Ederson's the man. I mix up Ederson and Alisson all the time.
Alisson's on Liverpool.
Sorry, I apologize. I offended.
They are both Brazilian keepers. So
yeah, no, exactly. So I think if Steffen was the starting keeper, anywhere, right? It could be Dusseldorf again, where he was balling out in the Bundesliga. he would have a better shot at starting over Turner. But right now, Turner is just on another level.
Not anymore. I mean, if he moved to whatever, let's say Dusseldorf, and was killing it, I still think Turner at his current right now would be starting next game.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I think if he was playing anywhere, let's say it was at Dusseldorf, he would have a better shot at potentially being in the conversation again for the starting keeper. But you know, I think it's clearly Turner, Steffen, Horvath, and then, you know, Sean Johnson obviously came in for Steffen after Steffen left the camp. So, you know, Sean Johnson, I guess, is Berhalter's number 4. So
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, you know, 15 goalkeepers deep, right? That's it. So that was a super easy conversation, right? Matt Turner's the dude. I think the only stat I wanted to throw out there for the listeners of the pod, for us, whatever, is that now Matt Turner has hit 10 caps for the USMNT. 3 goals allowed in those 10 games. 1 was a penalty kick against Martinique. I think 1 was against Mexico, and then 1 was last night against Honduras. In those 10 games, 7 shutouts. So he's really that's just pretty good. The shot stopping ability on Matt Turner is just absolutely fantastic. And I know
he had that one diving to his left last night.
Yes. But
I don't think there's a lot of people who I don't think keep that out.
There's a lot of goalkeepers, around the world, like outside of MLS. Screw that. Like, there's a lot of goalkeepers around the world that don't make that save. And I know, you know, plenty of people around U.S. soccer and MLS have talked about Matt Turner's shot stopping ability, but like, and I know I'm not saying anything new, but he's really just a stud with it. Like, that is his like bread and butter. Like, he's not the best with his feet. He's gotten much better with his feet, but he's not the best at distribution. Distribution better, but he's not letting an easy goal go in, and he's going to give it all that he's got to stop a difficult shot. So I love Zach Steffen. I do love Zach Steffen, but I do love Matt Turner.
Friend of the pod, Zach Steffen.
Friend of the pod, Zach Steffen. Now we got to get Matt Turner on. No, cool. So I think we're pretty good there. Let's stick with the back line. Let's talk about the fullbacks. So I think Serginho Dest is a perfect person to start with, in that he's maybe left a bad taste in our mouths after
rough couple games.
He left a bad taste in my mouth. I'll definitely say that. He did not look good against Canada. He did not look good, especially against El Salvador. A major defensive liability, and we've seen that at Barcelona, and now we're seeing it heavily within, you know, CONCACAF, right? When he's not playing in the U.S. and he's playing against other CONCACAF countries in Honduras and El Salvador, whatever it may be, he just does not look like a Barcelona player. And we've seen that with guys like Fabian Johnson, Timmy Chandler, John Brooks. They don't play away in CONCACAF because they're a different player. Is that the same thing? Like, that's what I think Serginho Dest is turning out to be right now.
I mean, at the same time too, on Barcelona, if we're going to compare it straight up, like, look at who the guys he's playing next to, like PK, Umtiti. These guys are going to, you know, cover maybe his liabilities a bit better, and he's going to be able to showcase, you know, his ability going forward a bit better. Maybe. Probably.
And to that point, I know John Anthony Brooks and Miles Robinson are not Umtiti and Gerard Piqué. I wish they were. I know they're not. But John Anthony Brooks, I think, has played like the 3rd most club minutes in a major European competition for a USMNT player. He is as good as you're going to get next to you if you're playing left back, right? Because he's our starting left center back. Miles Robinson has been arguably our best player all summer for the USMNT, right? You're not going to get a hotter player right now in the red, white, and blue than Miles Robinson. I understand that he doesn't have Umtiti or PK covering for him, but bro, this is different. Like, you gotta play. Like, you gotta.
Yeah, but I mean, even that's not like an excuse. I'm not trying to give him an excuse.
Yeah.
Mainly, it's just like, when you look at Dest, we can't expect. I even that way it seems a little bit bad. But to me, it's like Dest has his liabilities. I feel like we've all known that.
Yeah.
He also has a very high upside, but in these two games, it's all been liability that's just screaming in your face, which looks really bad.
But yes, Dest's benefit is when he's getting up the field, getting into the attack, and putting in that ball into the final third. But guess what? He wasn't doing in every single game he played.
All of that.
He wasn't doing any of that. He
wasn't actually doing very much of anything.
He was giving up the ball every single time he touched it. He wasn't swinging balls into the box. He wasn't, even hitting a ball from deep that we've seen him score before for the USMNT. I just don't think some of these guys, again, a Dest, a Brooks, in the past, Johnson, Chandler, can play away against Honduras. I don't give a shit if it's, one of the worst national teams in the world. Maybe playing away at Martinique is going to be a challenge for a guy like Serginho Dest, just because it's a different environment that he's not used to, right? Coming up through the Ajax Academy, I don't think he had to deal with bottles of piss and riot shields being thrown at him, I just don't think that
playing on a dirt patch.
Exactly. I just don't think these are the things that he's accustomed to. And yes, he needs to play in it because he needs to learn, but it's also like, how many times are we gonna have a defensive liability in a back four to allow a goal on the road in World Cup qualifying?
I think he needs to get better at defense. Otherwise, he doesn't get any more starts. It's like the bottom line.
I think that could hurt him in Barcelona as well. And I don't want to, dive into a conversation about his club career, but I think he needs to get better at defending for a lot of reasons.
Well, I mean, yeah, for his career, obviously it would be a good move to be good at the, one of the main things you have to do, or switch him to an attacking player. Maybe, I don't even know.
And it's like I understand the reason why, Greg Berhalter was playing Yedlin a lot within these games, because Yedlin is a trusted veteran. And, even he had his mistakes and he didn't play well, but what you're getting out of DeAndre Yedlin at this point. He's played enough games for the U.S. He's played enough games for Seattle, Newcastle, Tottenham, and Galatasaray that what you're getting out of DeAndre Yedlin. So it's like, yes, he's going to get burned going up the field. That's just it. He has the speed to recover, except for probably Alphonso Davies. That's really it, right? So I get it. I'm actually probably preferred and okay with Yedlin getting starts away in CONCACAF competition. I maybe honestly also prefer if Reggie Cannon was there too, but that's just me. Let's talk about, I don't think Dest is a left back option. I don't want him to be a left back option anymore. And quite frankly, I think we have plenty of other left back options. But let's talk about the other left back in Anthony Robinson.
It's actually a good comparison to Dest, because there were a lot of times I feel like we were sitting right in our seats saying that Anthony Robinson needs to get better at defense.
And he did.
He did. But like this is like a look at how he's grown.
Yeah.
After just a couple years, Dest, I feel like, could do the same thing. And then, one at left back, one at right back, I'm not going to be too unhappy.
It's just crazy because, like, Anthony Robinson grew so much as a defender the second half of last Premier League season. And he has been playing out of his mind down in the championship. Like, this is where he's learning to defend, I guess, right? In a league, in the championship, which not where it's defending. And the Premier League for, arguably one of the worst teams in the Premier League last year, right? So it's like, I don't know where the defending was taught for Anthony Robinson, but he's done it.
He had to do a lot of defending, I guess.
Exactly. Maybe that's what it is. But I mean, I want him to be the starting left back for every single game moving forward, where we can have him, right? Obviously, I know a lot of guys have to play, but Anthony Robinson really showed out. I think he played well over the course of Canada and El Salvador. I think in the Honduras game last night, you saw his impact immediately when he subbed on in the second half. Obviously, with the goal, sick-ass backflip, I'll also say that. But
I can't do that. Can you do that?
But also defensively, Anthony Robinson was playing very well last night. So I think right now for me, if we're going position by position like we have been, I still have Dest as our number one right back, but he's maybe not away in CONCACAF. Yedlin, if we're talking about this group, it's probably Yedlin if we're playing away. And then for me, Anthony Robinson's our left back.
Yeah, I think Anthony Robinson, the left back, too. We're only talking about people in this team, right? Because Reggie Cannon's not with them.
I mean, if we
because I do think Reggie Cannon is like one of the three there. I think it's Dest moved down like a tier, I guess, in my mind, more close to Yedlin and Reggie Cannon.
I think,
but I do think Dest is probably the option I would go with if I was creating a lineup right now.
So if you're new to the show, the podcast, or if you've been listening for a while, I'm like a weirdo. I have my own depth chart. So right now I still have Dest at my number one right back, Yellen at my number two right back, Cannon's 3, and I think I have Shaq Moore right now at 4. I want to see any of those. I'm honestly taking on the road over Dest in Yedlin, Moore, or Cannon over Dest away in CONCACAF. If we're playing in the U.S., I'll throw Dest out there every time. I'm not super confident. and then at left back, I mean, honestly, Serginho Dest fell to my 4th left back. He was my number 1 left back and my number 1 right back at one point. Right now, I got Robinson, Sam Vines, even with the broken collarbone, and get well soon, Sam Vines, because we want to see you potentially playing in the 2022 World Cup for us. I
would lose my mind.
I have George Bello at my 3rd left back, and he played, okay, wasn't great. I think he still has a lot of growing to do as a professional as well, but he's also a teenager, so I'm not going to hold too much against him. And Serginho Dest at my 4th left back. So I think the fullbacks, we have depth, which is a good thing.
Which is like something that, I don't know if we've ever said in our entire lives.
Can I make one call of a dude who I would love to see get a shot? I don't want to see it in World Cup qualifying, but if we play like a friendly at left back for the USMNT, DeJuan Jones for the Revs. I want to see it.
If they're in a friendly, I'd be fine starting an 11 of players that none of us have ever seen in the shirt.
I know everyone's been giving all the love and hype to Kevin Paredes at left back with DC, and he's had a great year. I just want to see DeJuan Jones, because DeJuan Jones is apparently getting some Bundesliga looks, some Eredivisie looks, Austrian Bundesliga looks. I want to see, because he's a right-footed player, but it's making it work. That's it.
Sold out. You sold me.
Thanks. Let's talk about the center back. So we've obviously, I kind of threw John Brooks under a bus so far this episode. Not a great 3-game showing from him as well, I'm definitely going to say. Do you have any different JAB takes? I
think his leadership's super important to the team.
I don't want him off the 11, but...
No, I know. But, if he's... No, he's part, wait, you don't want him off the 11 or the 18?
No, sorry, I want him in the 11 still. I want him as left center.
Yeah, I think, he's just had a couple rough games. Like you said earlier, though, what did you say? He's like the 3rd most minutes in a Europe top 5
out of all of the American players playing in major European leagues, I think he's played like the 3rd most minutes so far this season. So he's obviously a very good, key, important player.
He brings so much experience, and he's had so many good moments that he's proven his ability, I think. A couple games where he has not been as good isn't as worrisome to me as what we were just talking about with Dest. That's a bit more worrisome because he hasn't really shown us his, ability to defend high level players, and it's cost us at times. So, for Brooks, he's in the 11.
Has this been,
if he's healthy?
Has this been a point of conversation? And maybe I'm completely wrong. Has John Brooks played a lot of minutes with Miles Robinson outside of these 3 games as his center back partner?
Has he ever?
I don't know.
I can't remember ever that happened.
I don't think he has, because obviously Miles Robinson has skyrocketed his USMNT stock, and I think for many.
How many caps does he even have for the U.S.? I'm going to look.
I think he has like 5.
Yeah,
No,
so then there's absolutely no way.
The World Cup game, so he's way more than 5.
He has 12.
Okay. So maybe he has, but I know Miles Robinson before the Gold Cup never started for the USMNT. So he was always coming off the bench, right? So definitely if Miles Robinson has played with John Anthony Brooks before, it hasn't been a ton of minutes outside of these 3 games. I can safely make that bet. Maybe.
He played in all the Gold Cup games every minute.
Yeah. He was, So, I mean, obviously John Anthony Brooks wasn't there for the Gold Cup. So
that's minus what, 6 games?
Yeah.
And now there's 3 here. So, I mean, at most it could have been 3 more games, I guess.
And he never started, like I said, before the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
So, how many minutes was he actually getting? So maybe that was an adjustment too. John Anthony Brooks getting used to Miles Robinson. And Miles Robinson, he is making a very strong case for our.
He might be the number 1.
So he's I think might be our most talented center back right now, like hottest center back right now. I think
definitely by form right now, he's in the squad. He's one of the first names on the sheet.
He's so dangerous in the box too on a free kick. I know obviously he scored the game winner against Mexico in the Gold Cup final off like a free kick header, but like he's had plenty of other chances he's missed recently where he's just open, header wide open.
He just seems fearless.
Yeah.
Whether that is, going forward
or
on a set piece or just standing like a brick wall in front of someone. Yeah. And that is exactly what I love to see out of my center back. So he checks the fearless box, which is like box number 1. It's like, all right, you're starting.
I mean, right now for me, again, if we're talking depth charts, if we're talking who we want to see, for me, it's John Anthony Brooks at left center back, Miles Robinson staying at that right center back. Get them as many minutes as possible. I never even thought about that kind of center back duo partnership until right now. So, I mean, I'm glad I thought of that. But outside of that, I feel like no one's really making their case for the center backs behind them, right? Mark McKenzie played against Honduras, looked good, didn't look poor, just didn't do anything to like.
I think Mark McKenzie is at least in that like top 4.
I think so. Right now, my top 4 is the 4 center backs we do have in this camp, or we had in this camp, in Brooks, in Miles Robinson, McKenzie, and Walker Zimmerman. I think those are the 4.
Where do you put a healthy Aaron Long? Because I think Aaron Long is in the 4.
I think
above Zimmerman.
A healthy Aaron Long out before these 3 games would have still been my number 2 center back. I think Miles Robinson has jumped that. I think Miles Robinson right now is our number 2. I think a healthy Aaron Long might still be our 3rd best center back option.
That's where I would put him. With what Miles Robinson just showed us, I think he goes above Aaron, maybe even goes above Brooks, but that's another discussion. But I do think Aaron Long is a top 4.
No, 100%. I think he jumps McKenzie and Zimmerman for me. Maybe that might be too hot of a take. Maybe he just jumps Zimmerman. I don't know, but he's within that for me if he's healthy. Obviously, in Chris Richards being in the picture, hopefully next window. I know we had a little bit of a club situation to finalize, so I think that was the main reason why he wasn't in this camp. So maybe we also see Chris Richards getting some minutes and potentially fighting for a spot too. So
I think Chris Richards is almost a 2026 option.
He's the starter for Hoffenheim.
That's true.
I
just feel like within a year we're gonna see. I hope we see enough of Chris Richards, but
I think Richards could jump McKenzie and Zimmerman. I think he could. Not that he currently has.
I mean, I think he could potentially jump Aaron Long too.
Yes.
I mean, obviously Aaron Long's out for a while.
We won't see him until potentially 2022.
Unfortunately, but I think Chris Richards has the potential, and what he did at Hoffenheim, right? He was there last year. Yeah, what he did there was awesome. I mean, he was really good. If he can just keep that consistency, I mean, we're going to see him in the U.S. a lot. Even in some of these qualifiers, I could see it.
I really want to see him called in next window in November. I really think it's important for him to get in there if he's going to be a part of this group, right? I know Greg Berhalter, obviously has his faith in Brooks and Robinson and McKenzie and, I was about to say Zimmerman, but Zimmerman got 0 minutes. I don't know if Zimmerman.
It's kind of weird because it's not like an MLS thing, obviously.
No, clearly.
And Greg absolutely loves Aaron Long when he's healthy.
Exactly. So
and Zimmerman has performed at a very high level in MLS for
a long time.
Yeah, I don't even know how many years, but at least 5, maybe. I don't know.
I would say more than that. If I
10? I don't know.
No,
Either way,
7. If I had to ballpark between those two. But no,
he hasn't really given any reason not to like him, I guess.
Let's step away from the back line. I think, again, just to kind of catch the listeners up as we're talking along, I would right now, my next World Cup qualifier, if I had to play tomorrow, would be Turner in net, Anthony Robinson, John Brooks, Miles Robinson, Serginho Dest right now.
I think I agree with you.
My right back is still dependent on where the game is being played, but if I had to pick one, it would still be Dest. But let's move to the midfield, right, where we have some interesting conversations. Let's start with the 6.
I think this is like the least interesting one of all of them.
This may be worse of a conversation than the goalkeepers. It's Tyler Adams, our best player, arguably our most important player.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue against that.
Yeah, okay, so done.
And then I think it's Calvin Acosta.
Yeah, I think based off what Greg has shown, and obviously performances right now, I think Tyler Adams is our 6 forever and always. Amen.
Please just keep him at 6.
Exactly. I understand why he had to play right back because of a mess of right back, but keep him at the 6.
But when he's at the 6, we're at our best.
Yes, 1,000%. He's covering up for so many people as well, and that's the crazy part. He's stepping into holes. He reads the game so well. He even had a shot from distance last night that when he hit it, I was like, Tyler Adams understands what we need and that we needed to test the keeper at least a little bit, even if it's a shitty shot. He understood what was needed.
He always knows
what to do.
He has a very good feel, I feel like, for the game.
Yeah. When
he needs to be a bit more loud, he is. When he needs to settle the team, he does. I just think he's he's very consciously involved in the game to a point where he always seems to know what is the right thing for the whole team.
What worried me about this last 3-game window is that he played every second of those 3 games. He did not get off the field for a second, a minute, a millisecond, whatever. And knowing, knock on wood, my table's wood right here, knowing his injury past, I was very concerned about him pulling up at some point or something. I was just like, Greg, I think we're good. It's 3-1. We can take Tyler off right now.
That does worry me because without him,
we're a different team.
Yeah, completely.
Calvin Acosta is very good right behind him at D-mid, but he's not Tyler Adams.
I love Calvin Acosta, but yeah, I wouldn't compare them. Exactly. We're a completely different team.
Exactly. And I think just, again, based off what Greg has shown in roster selection and in performance, I think right now James Sands is our 3rd D-mid behind Acosta and behind Adams, which as an NYCFC fan, I like. It's nice to see. He's getting some recognition, but maybe Bucio, after he gets some minutes with Venezia, steps in there as well. We don't know. We'll see. We'll see about that. But let's talk about those 2 8s that play above that 6. And obviously a big name missing from Canada and a big name missing from the Honduras games is Weston McKennie. So you want to talk about Weston now, or you want to save him for after we kind of go through some?
We might as well talk about it now.
Weston. So first of all, that Chipotle commercial, awful timing. Really, I don't know if you saw it or
I didn't see it. What?
At halftime, they played a commercial for Chipotle, and the main story was about Weston McKennie working hard on the field, all this stuff.
Oh my God!
Not great from
Chipotle's probably pissed.
Chipotle's like shit. So everything that I'm about to say is alleged. Definitely, there are a lot of alleged reports and
a lot of rumors.
Alleged. This is all alleged. So allegedly, there's reports out there, and we're still waiting to hear, confirmation that they're. But so alleged. I'm just trying to say alleged. I'm gonna keep going alleged because
I think it's alleged.
Thank you.
Now the word is just I don't even know what you're saying.
So allegedly, Weston McKennie might have went out to a nightclub in Nashville before the Nashville game, and broke team curfew and broke team rules that way. Allegedly, he also might have met up with a bachelorette party that night, and allegedly might have had some fun with some women. Allegedly, there's also a report that he might have slept with a teammate's sister. Allegedly, Christian Pulisic's sister. Allegedly, he might have snuck a hooker back into the team's bubble. Allegedly, he might have snuck one of the women from the bachelorette party back to the team's bubble. All of these things, breaking team rules, breaking COVID guidelines, breaking all of that stuff. So whatever did actually happen, I'm sure will come out. We'll find out later down the line. These are all alleged reports. I think the most kind of maybe obvious scenario is that he went out, he broke team curfew or COVID rules or team rules in whatever capacity that may be, and he was sent back to Juventus in Italy due to that. He apparently apologized to Greg and the team and the coaching staff and all of that. So that definitely did happen. He was sent back, and Juventus also wasn't happy in their own right. What is your take on all of these alleged reports? And do you want to see Weston McKennie called into the next World Cup qualifying window?
So about the reports or rumors, as I like to say, they're rumors, right? He broke the rule, whatever the protocols were for the team. That is a definite.
Yep.
I don't really want to talk about the rumors because I don't know what the rumor, like if any of them are true. So To me, I don't think it even, I mean, obviously some of those are worse than others. Yes. But it's not as much but that it happened at all, because it's just not an acceptable thing to do. It's not fair to the team. It's not really fair to the coaches. It's not even really fair to, I don't know. This is weird to say it's not fair to us. Like,
it's not.
There's rules in place that this team has that all of them are following to get to the World Cup, right? That's the main goal. These games are qualifier matches. They're really big games, regardless of who we're playing against.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we saw, we drew against, El Salvador and Canada. We beat Honduras, but like anything can happen. If those are 2 losses, or 3, I don't know. What we're looking at this entirely different, and we're looking at Weston McKennie as someone who potentially cost us an entire World Cup bid. That is every 4 years. It's not like it's we'll just do it next year. It's not something that simple. It's a really big thing for the country, for the people that really support the U.S. men's national team, who care about these players, who would put Weston on a pedestal if he does something great, right?
And we do.
We do all the time. We do it with all these players. And he deserves to be, I guess, looked down upon because of what he did, because it's just not really acceptable in terms of this scenario, in terms of whether it's for your country or for your club or for your college team, any part of a team I've even ever been in even in high school. It's there's rules in place when you're on a team, when you're in a camp setting, as this sort of is, right? This is a U.S. men's national team camp, a very important one. And if you break those rules, you get sent home. And I'm glad it wasn't I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but to me it was hey, you broke the rules, you're out. And he left. And he apologized, like you said, to them. I think what happened, like you said, will come out, but I don't really want to speculate on what actually happened. There's been so many rumors.
I don't.
But at the end of the day, it's but to me, it's should he be in the next camp? I think that's more dependent on more information that we haven't gotten yet, right? I can't, like, what happened exactly does matter. It doesn't matter in terms of the fact that it's disappointing that something happened, right? It's very disappointing that it happened in general. But what happened does matter in the fact that if it's, like if he did allegedly sleep with Christian Pulisic's sister, like that's not cool.
Yeah, that's some bad locker room juju. But I think that was one of the more.
I think that one's very far. I think that one is pretty far fetched. But at the same time, it's like, is he a very high quality player? Yes, 100%. I'd like to see him in the team, but I only want to see him in the team if he's going to be 100% focused on the team.
And that's the thing that everyone's saying is you called him in. Obviously, Weston's arguably a top 3 player for us talent-wise.
But if he's a distraction, he's hurting the whole team.
Or can you trust him that he doesn't break rules again and hurt a spot in the 11 or take away a spot from someone else who is going to listen to the rules and be there, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate, right? At the end of the day, I don't want to. I think it was probably something very basic. He broke the rules. He understood what he did. He went back. He apologized. All that stuff. I hate giving the excuse of like he's a young kid. He's gonna make mistakes. Like he did this last season at Juventus. He got in trouble and got suspended for breaking COVID rules and having a house party with Juventus, right? Or going to a house party. When he was with Juventus. Like he made this mistake once. Now he's outright making the mistake again. I don't want to, exile him from USMNT or anything like that. But what I want him to do is actually like show through actions that he's learned from this, and that this is going to cost him the trust of his coaches, cost him the trust of the federation, cost him the trust of his teammates and the fans, right?
Yeah.
I would, I don't want to see him in the next window for World Cup qualifying. Let him learn that, he can't do what he did. Maybe the window after that, we call him back in and be like, okay, this is your chance to prove it. Like, this is your chance to work hard to show us, like, you can be trusted and we're going to put you in games. Or, there's plenty of ways to do that and to teach him and to, I think, kind of help him guide along through the process. But just me personally, I wouldn't call him in next window, and I'd call him in the window after that.
I think partially, like, I had a friend, too, who was like, well, he's young, he makes mistakes, he's a kid. But is that okay? Like, he's 23. The guy's been playing for, 6 years?
Yeah, like, he's been
a couple of those years with – actually, most of that time with very, very high-profile teams. I mean, Schalke obviously is not as big, but when he went there, it was a pretty big deal. So
he's been playing within large-named organizations and, being a known player within all those organizations for years now, right? He knows what it's like to have his life in the limelight, and
he also knows all the rules. Like,
yes.
I'm sure there were rules with these other teams. I mean, maybe people were breaking them, and it was like, obviously COVID probably made more strict rules, but at the same time, like, it's not some surprising thing. Like, this is something he's probably been dealing with since he was pretty young, even before he went to these high name organizations. They're still in, like, my point is, like, when you're playing a sport, there's always been, especially like he was in the academy for Dallas. Yeah. I mean, all those areas, there's things that you can do off the field that won't be acceptable. Exactly. Even when you're 15.
It's just about, allowing everyone around you within the federation to trust that you're going to be there game in and game out and not put anything, in jeopardy. I don't know if and this is like the last piece I wanted to bring up about it. If you have anything else, obviously, please. But I don't know if you saw the clip from CBS where Charlie Davies, Chuck D,
I did.
He was breaking down kind of, what his breaking of team rules and him going out after curfew looked like after they already qualified for the World Cup, and he was in a car accident, and he never played for the U.S. again after a very bad car accident, lacerations, broken bones, all this stuff. I think he is someone who, if U.S. soccer hasn't somehow connected Charlie and Weston to have a conversation, to talk, I think U.S. soccer failed in that capacity. Like, Charlie Davies is the type of dude you can tell who would sit down with Weston for hours and talk to him if he wanted. And I think Weston should reach out to Charlie. Charlie should reach out to Weston. U.S. Soccer should give him their numbers, FaceTime, text, Zoom. I don't give a shit. Have a conversation and kind of, learn and be like, yo, bro, I was at the top of the top. I was banging in goals for league teams, and I never played for the U.S. again because of a stupid mistake. Like, let's learn from this.
Yeah, and I think in that video too, something you see, I guess you really have to watch it to see it, is like how much passion Charlie Davies has.
Yeah.
And just like it seems you can visibly see that it still pains him to this day that he made that mistake, and it cost him, years and years of playing. He looks, I mean, Dempsey's sitting to his side, like he looks straight at him and says, I let you guys down. And it definitely is something that weighs on his mind. So this is like a big deal. It's a big deal.
Exactly. And, I don't want to, keep this fully negative. So let's just say, I think you and I can hope that, I hope Greg and the Federation somehow can help Weston learn and teach him a lesson a little bit with this scenario. I hope Weston, doesn't pull another COVID protocol break. A third one would be under his record at that point. He grows up a little bit with this.
I think you make a good point. Keeping him out of the next, rotation of games is maybe a smart call, because it's just, hey, this is, it's unacceptable. You do it again, it's over.
You call him in and you don't play him a minute, or
that's a great one.
Or you call him in, you don't call him in next window, you call him in the window after that, you don't play him a minute. It's like how severe of a punishment do you want to give him? I think you can go obviously super severe, you can go super lax. I think that he just needs to, and I think this is with any relationship in life, and I'm going down a whole other rabbit hole. You need to just prove through actions over words that
trust. It's all a trust thing, exactly. Right?
That you can be there for people when you need to, right? And
pretty much all like relationships are built on trust. So,
and that's what the MLSAces podcast is, a relationship podcast.
Built on trust.
So let's talk about the other center midfielders, right? We definitely had to see a rotation of central mids within this 3-game stretch, especially with the situations and the scenarios going on around Weston. We saw Brendan Aronson play at center mid. We saw Leggett. We saw Callum Acosta. We saw Christian Roldan. I guess right now, with everything going on with Weston, with everything we've seen from these first 3 games, do you have a pair of 8s that you would want to see playing above Tyler Adams? Because this was probably the most difficult positions on the field for me to place 2 dudes in.
Yeah, I mean, personally, so I kind of like Reyna more as a wing.
I am starting to lean that way too, that I prefer him on the wing over central mid.
And I think I prefer Aronson and central mid.
Yep.
And so I think one of mine is almost the permanent marker, Brendan Aronson. Because this guy
that's a take. I'd put him in, but I don't know if it's permanent marker.
You put him in just marker.
No, maybe pencil.
Okay, pencil him in. You wouldn't even use a pen.
The erasable pens, those ones when we were like kids that had the caps that had a really shitty
Brendan Aronson's killing it all over, anywhere he goes.
He's playing a very good 10 for Salzburg, and I will 100% admit that he's playing very well club-wise.
For the same reason that you have Miles Robinson as your center back pairing, number 1 center back pairing.
Yes.
I think Aronson deserves the number 1 center mid pairing.
Sure. I think that's fair right now.
Right now, yeah. Maybe not permanent marker. You're right. But I wouldn't use a pen, okay? I'll just cross it out. I won't cross it out. It's not going to need it.
Also, to be fair, he was the only one that scored in the Canada game for us, and he scored again against Honduras. He's our leading goal scorer in World Cup.
He's actually like a sneaky great goal scorer. He even scores a decent amount of goals for Salzburg.
Exactly. I like him a lot. I like Brendan Aronson. I'm happy he's maybe kind of finding a home within one of the 2 8s. But the other question comes down to that second 8. If Weston
which
is in
is
there.
like
You can say it.
10 names. If
Yeah.
Weston's, if Weston's gonna, act like a adult, then yeah, I would put Weston next to him, right? Like you said earlier, Weston's maybe a top 3 player on this team, but if he's gonna act like a child, then he's not.
If Weston is going to do what he's done, he falls out of the starting. He falls out of the roster, right? If Weston is there and he's doing what he's done, I think he's the permanent marker at the 8, and then Aronson next to him. But right now it's Aronson, and for me it's Sebastian Lletget. I think you can say, insert Callan Acosta, and I would be fine with it. I think you could insert Christian Roldan. Honestly, at this point, I'd be fine with it. Obviously, Yunus Musa, when he gets back healthy, he's going to be an option there as well. So Gio Reyna, maybe even as well.
Yeah, this is maybe the hardest position on this entire team that we're going to have to fill. That's number 2, because of what Weston did, is now pretty much wide open. And to the point where I don't really feel like there's a very, very, very strong person to be next to Aronson, because right now we're just assuming Weston McKennie just out of it, at least for a little bit, right? So in that case, I do love what Yunus Musa can bring. I want him to be a little bit more consistent and to see it more consistently.
I will say this. So my top 4 right now for the central midfield spot is Weston, is Brendan, is Sebastian Lletget, and Callan Acosta. And I guess if you want to throw in Yunus Musa as the 5th guy, who I think is who's maybe a class above everyone else. I have 15 other names that you could throw in that central midfield spot that I'm feeling good with, right? Like I'm like, okay.
Okay, first of all, I see that you put so this caught me off guard at the beginning, because in your wing thing you put Sergeant ... Eel, and I was like, wow, you really don't like him, huh? But no, Eric Williamson is a very good person to put in that number 8 spot when he has an ACL.
Yeah, exactly. See, Williamson maybe screwed that up a little bit, right? Julian
Which
Green,
really sucks, because I think this camp could have been huge for him.
He would have been very good in this camp. I definitely do have to say that. But
and him and Aronson next to each other would be a lot of fun.
Doesn't sound bad. It really doesn't sound
Oh man, this is gonna make me sad, because this camp would have been so good for Eric Williamson. Partially Weston McKennie's not there. That center mid area was wide open and up for grabs, basically.
Let me just read you the rest of the 8s. And this is just kind of the players out in limbo that if they play well, I think could fit into the spot. If they play poor, well, this is where we are. You have the likes of Eric Williamson, who's, if he's healthy, right? Julian Green, Christian.
Is this in the order that you?
No, this is just in any order.
Because I feel like Eric Williamson is probably the top.
So you have Christian Roldan, who's obviously in this camp. Eric Williamson, who's injured. Julian Green, Gianluca Busio, who could play in 8. Tanner Tessman, who's also the teammate at Venezia. Luca De La Torre, Paxton Pomykal, Caden Clark, Cole Bassett, Georgi Mihailovic, Asani Dotson, Dwayne Holmes, Frankie Amaya, Keaton Parks. All dudes who are American, who play in 8, who are pretty good at their position. That's all I'm saying.
A lot of those guys are very young.
Yes.
So a very strong front runner has a lot of time to appear.
Exactly.
Maybe it's Busio now that he took that move. Maybe it's I don't know.
Maybe it's Tessman. Maybe
it's Pomykal.
Exactly. I was just about to say we all also know the talent level of Paxton Pomykal. He just has to stay healthy and put it together. Caden Clark. He's a Leipzig player, technically. So
I think there's a lot. Actually, after you reading that list, I got those names.
If they live up to the hype.
If they can, yeah. I mean, for right now, good point. Good. A little asterisk.
Yes.
For right now, though, I think it's Aronson, and I guess we'll go with Lletget. I'm fine with that.
I think Lletget just being kind of a veteran of the group.
I like Acosta as a veteran of the group, though. I would fight for Acosta there.
Okay. Yeah.
But I do think Acosta is a little bit better as a 6.
I agree. I think probably his best position, but we'll see. Let's go up to the attack, the wings, right? Not again the strongest showing from Christian Pulisic in a USMNT jersey. And if I had to be worried about anything, if I had to be worried about any particular player, it might be Christian Pulisic. And I don't know if that's a hot take or anything like that, but
he was a little injury. That guy gets injured a lot, though. That's a concern.
Christian Pulisic throws himself into the middle of a minefield at 7,000 miles an hour and then comes off limping every single time.
It doesn't matter who he's playing for, too. Chelsea, US.
What's that old YouTube clip where the dude, they're playing World of Warcraft or some shit, and
Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, Christian Pulisic is Leroy Jenkins.
What is it? What game did you say it was?
World of Warcraft.
Is that what it is? I think you're right. I've never played it,
but I think that's what it is.
I just love that video. It's so funny.
Christian Pulisic has the ball at his feet. And he goes, Christian Pulisic, and then just goes. And
no. You can't do it like that. You just got to say Leroy Jenkins and go.
Sorry. Leroy Jenkins, and then just goes and loses the ball as a defender stands there and just cleans the ball off his feet.
I think he has I want to do too much syndrome.
How do you feel about this? We're talking about the 10s. At the 8s. Christian Pulisic as one of the 8s. And we have Brendan Aronson up on the wing. I don't hate it.
I don't love Aronson on the wing, though.
He has shown better on the wing than Pulisic has in the last 3 games.
Fair. But what if we did... Well, you could put Pulisic as a 10.
I just want to see...
And do it 2 strikers.
Pulisic in a spot where I feel like he wants to get a lot of the attention and a lot of...
Would Greg ever do a diamond midfield?
No. This is his formation.
But if... Hear me out.
If he did.
Hear me out. You got your 2 8s. You got Pulisic in front of him. And then we don't have the strikers to fill those 2 spots.
We play a 5-5. Yep, that's it.
What's your formation? 5-5.
Play a 5-5. Oh fuck,
man! I kind of want to see that 4-4-2.
I'm concerned about Pulisic. I really am. I'm
not concerned.
I want to see a showing from him because I think this is a fact that's been said elsewhere as well. He has not scored against good competition in the USMNT jersey in the run of play. I think his best goal was against good competition was the PK against Mexico. Top bins only, but I mean
that was nice.
That's 2-1 from.
I'm not worried about him because what was that? 3 years ago? Oh my God, it's been a long time. When we lost in that Trinidad game, yeah, a really rough moment to bring up, but he was amazing, right? He was the best guy on the pitch. He really the only one
surrounded by veteran players.
So maybe our team is just better, and he's no longer like this guy that my hand can't even reach that height, playing with people who are in the ground.
But can I say this? He is he needs to be that dude.
He puts in good performances with Chelsea when he's healthy, which is an asterisk.
Thing.
That's good competition. It's not that he can't do it. He needs to figure out his role with the US.
What I'm saying is he can do it for Chelsea. He does it for Chelsea. He scores in the Premier League. Let's do it not for Chelsea.
I've watched too many Liverpool versus Chelsea games to know that he could actually kill it.
That's the thing is, Christian Pulisic can pull some amazing shit out of the bag, but he has not done it for the USMNT.
Which is why I think he just tries too much. I think he doesn't trust the players around him.
I think he gets isolated on the left wing. That's my opinion.
So, I mean, where would you move him? Maybe
I'd put him at an 8. I'd put him at one of those 2 dudes playing in front of Tyler Adams. I think he gets isolated and he tries to cut inside, do some fancy shit, and then when no one's around him because he's held onto the ball for 30 years, he runs in Leroy Jenkins it.
I do think he's better at I do think he's better at receiving the ball higher up the pitch.
Then false 9, Christian Pulisic.
That would be actually kind of interesting.
It wouldn't work, but it'd be interesting.
It'd be interesting. I mean, yeah, I don't think we have like I don't know.
We don't have the wingers to.
Yeah, we definitely don't have the wingers to pull that off. But
if we had 2 Christian Pulisics.
Okay, well, I mean,
whatever.
Gio?
You're okay with Christian. Gio is definitely our starting right winger, I think, right now. It's just unfortunate he was injured for 2 of the games. So we'll see him back, though. We'll see him back. I'm not overly concerned about Gio Reyna. And Gio Reyna was one of our better-looking players against El Salvador. So I
almost feel like he's been one of our better players in almost like the last 5 games or 10 games.
I can agree with that. And I want to see more Conrad de la Fuente. We didn't get a lot of him, but I want to see more. He showed that this was his first few caps for the Usmnt, and he showed that he is an 18-year-old or 17-year-old, however old he is.
This guy like barely got out of the academy recently.
2 seconds. He just graduated the academy 2 seconds ago, and he's like he walked.
He's like a small baby, like walking onto the pitch. Like he needs way more time.
He's definitely a dude who needs to adjust to away in CONCACAF for sure, because he's playing in Barcelona, he's playing in Marseille. The kid needs to adjust to, Cuba away. So, that's where I'm at with Conrad. I like him a lot.
Yeah, like clearly Pepe is well adjusted.
That's it. Let's finish off with Pepe. Our number 9, my number 9, I moved his ass straight to the top of the depth chart because we overreact in U.S. soccer every single time, and I would overreact.
I was about to say, is that a bit of an overreaction?
1 goal, 2 assists in his debut, man of the match, game winner on his goal as well. Ricardo Pepi was involved in 3 of the 4 goals against Honduras, like involved. And that is something that even Daryl DK, when his hype was at his peak, he wasn't doing. Jordan Pifak has not done. Giassi Zardes, I think right now is the only other striker again who we can kind of keep in the conversation for a dude we can rely on. And Josh Sargent, I gave him some credit against El Salvador, but the last 2 games, bro, like he's not a winger, and I don't know why, at Norwich and Greg is like forcing him on the wing right now, but he's also not our 9, so I don't know.
No.
I'm Josh Sargent fell to 4th on my striker depth chart list. DK was 3rd, Sardis was 2, and Pepe is 1 right now. I'll play the hot hand.
I feel I mean, honestly, that's what we should do at this point, because none of them are, well, I guess with Pepe we haven't really seen it that much, but none of them have been very consistent. DK though totally missed the ball on his hype. What the hell, bro?
He's still, I think I'm still keeping him in the loop.
This guy was supposed to be in the Premier League like 6 months ago.
He scored against wherever they played, Orlando.
Remember when we were debating whether we'd ever see him in an Orlando shirt again?
Yeah. I was wrong about that.
What was that, 3 months ago? 3 or 4?
I
agreed with you there.
So my real question about Ricardo Pepi for you is, when does Bayern decide to buy him and replace Lewandowski with Ricardo Pepi?
Honestly, that I could see them buying him. I actually could see them buying him within like a year.
And replacing Lewandowski with Ricardo Pepi. Sending Lewandowski to Dallas for Ricardo Pepi. That's the move.
No, I don't want him to Lewandowski to just be murdering my teams. He's coming to the fire.
No, but seriously, like Ricardo Pepi, like what he did last night was fantastic. No.
Wait, did you say something?
I said Ricardo Pepi, what he did last night was fantastic. No, and then you were staring at me.
No, yeah, he definitely it was incredible. It's like a performance to get super hyped about, as we love to do.
For sure.
And I did get super hyped about it. So
the Pepi train's rolling, bro.
That's like when I'm playing FIFA in career mode. It's like one to watch, Ricardo Pepi.
I think the most excited person was the FC Dallas Twitter admin last night.
They're loving it. Honestly, the FC Dallas, I think the front office is just like, all right, yeah, just give us another, 15 mil.
I saw someone tweet out last night. It was like a gif of someone just like rolling big dollar bills on their chest. And this is like Dan Hunt currently,
that have you seen Breaking Bad?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh. Okay, never mind then. It was like a scene where the guy lays on like a huge stack of money.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, Dallas are about to cash the fuck out for Ricardo Pepi.
I feel like we're saying Dallas is about to cash out like every couple months.
Because they develop a superstar every couple months. The one thing I do want to say about Ricardo Pepi is I love that there's a Mexican-American player as a star right now, or as a star in Major League Soccer, and obviously a rising star within U.S. soccer because he chose and really seems to embrace his, U.S. heritage, I think. And that's something that I've heard from a lot of players, or a lot of people, right? Like I've heard it from Herculez Gomez. I've heard it from Nico Cantor from CBS. He's doing a lot of the soccer coverage for CBS right now as well. It's like, if you're a Mexican-American, a Honduran-American, and a Salvadorian-American, it's like, you're never fully American, but you're also like too American to be whatever, Hispanic nationality that you are, right? Like
you feel kind of in limbo.
That's a lot of the interviews that I've heard is like that they're falling in this limbo place of like they're not American enough, but they're also not, for example, Mexican enough, right? So where do they fall, right? And I feel like that's a thing that obviously we've gone to conversations about the lack of Hispanic representation in U.S. soccer and the U.S. Soccer Federation. And Ricardo Pepi being involved and being that dude is fantastic. I don't want him to obviously have to, be like, force him into being like a leader for Hispanic soccer within U.S. soccer, but it gives a little bit of excitement to it, right? It gives someone who's maybe a younger player saying like, oh shit, that's Ricardo Pepi at 17 years old. Maybe I can do that and represent the U.S. and show that, I am American enough, but I'm also representing and loving my, Hispanic, Mexican, El Salvadorian, Honduran background, right? So I'm super stoked to see that. I'm super stoked for that. And I really want to see more Hispanic representation in the coaching in U.S. soccer overall, because we need that. I think I was listening to an interview, I think it was the Scuffed podcast, and they were interviewing Herc Gomez, and, they were like, would you, if U.S. soccer reached out to you, would you be like, someone who goes down into these homes and talks to these parents about, their son playing for the U.S. one day or playing in U.S. youth camps or whatever? And Herc was like, I think he feels a little kind of bitten in the ass by the U.S. Soccer Federation, but he's definitely a dude who speaks out on it. So if you guys are listening to this, like, go listen to that episode of the Scuffed podcast. Go listen to Herculez Gomez, Nico Cantor, any of these guys who are Hispanic Americans speaking about this, because it's a very interesting topic and a very interesting kind of like just kind of like a problem to really kind of just trying to wrap your heads around, right? So it's not a cool topic. It's not a cool thing that's happening, but it's cool that these guys are speaking out on it and definitely kind of bringing this to light. So definitely do want to say that and go check that out, because I think it's awesome that it's coming to light more, and Ricardo Pepi maybe is the kind of fire starter to that conversation as well. So that's all I got for that. But do you have anything else you want to say as we hopefully next week, I feel like I say this every single time, hopefully next week can talk about MLS soccer?
I guess just like to people who get really aggressively, charged after every single match, just let it, let it kind of calm yourself down. We're going to be okay. 11 to go. And that's 11 wins.
Yeah, I mean, you really hope it's 33 points coming out of these games. It won't be, and when it's not doesn't mean the world's on fire either. So
I mean, we can both agree that this wasn't the our dream start, right? And we're still in third.
I put out a blog on the MLSAces website before these games started that I thought 9 points was realistic. 9 points was doable. 7 points was realistic. We came away with 5. I mean, it is what it is, right? I think that maybe these first 3 games were a very large learning lesson for a lot of people. From I think most people involved in this game.
But now there's no more learning lessons.
No, yeah, you've played 2
You've
games.
learned your lessons.
You've played 2 games on the road in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. You know what to expect. Obviously, I think when we eventually play Mexico on the road, which we don't play for another 2 windows, that will be a slap in the mouth a little bit that we'll have to get used to, especially after us winning 2 trophies over them this summer. I'm sure them and the fans will be pretty.
They're going to be charged up.
They'll be pretty charged up. So, but it's also, you understand, you have to get a point out of that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you do.
You got to go do your job. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your job.
That's when Christian Pulisic needs to score out of the field of play. But other than that, really.
Maybe
we'll be fine. We'll be fine U.S. soccer wise. We'll talk some MLS next week, and about how the New England Revolution are just absolutely demolishing everyone in MLS play. Who's on the playoff bubble? Who's not? Playoffs start in November, so that's coming up around the corner.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Nuts. It's nuts. It's also crazy. The Chicago Fire still suck, bro. It's nuts.
That's computer.
No, but we'll talk MLS next week, and it's a great time to be a soccer fan because you got a lot of soccer games to watch. And whether you're talking World Cup qualifying, European play, MLS play, USL, whatever it is, watch some soccer. Catch up with us next week.
NWSL.
NWSL is also they're wrapping up, or they're getting into the playoffs, right?
Pretty soon.
Yeah, and
I think. Final
point, you brought me up to this. NWSL, your final being 9 a.m., I think Pacific Standard Time, 12 Eastern, is an absolute travesty. Like it's just an embarrassment for the players who work their ass off each and every week that the 2 teams fighting for your league title, for arguably the best women's soccer league on the planet, is pushed around and pushed into a morning.
Pushed to a 9 a.m. Like, come on.
9, yeah, exactly. You're playing it also, I think for the 2nd straight year in Providence Park.
Where did they play last year? You might be right. I mean, I don't mind them playing in Providence Park. I think it's a dope place, but
it is. Providence Park is a very nice stadium,
and the fans actually show up.
Yes, but I
cool.
think that it would be nice to also kind of see other stadiums that NWSL has to offer, or maybe go back to where they played the Challenge Cup and get the slide back in the picture.
That would be fun, actually. That would be a great time. A little playground.
Make it the Challenge NWSL Cup every single year. No, but honestly, that's fucked up. I don't like that. NWSL fix that. Players deserve better.
Just be better. Like that's not even a hard thing to be okay about. Like fix it.
Operate in a way where you want your league to get the most publicity, most viewership, most eyes, and that's not the way to do it.
I don't know if what is it? CBS probably made that call.
Yeah.
Or the NWSL, but like.
Someone had to agree to it somewhere.
Yeah, someone's got to who's like, oh yeah, 9 a.m. Great.
And
no,
I don't know if it's because obviously college football is very popular in this country. I don't know if it's because of college football or anything like that, but I don't know if you can even I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, this is just something that they really shouldn't have to deal with, but it's just kind of stupid.
Yeah, it is. It's not. I was about to say it is what it is, but it's not.
It's like
whatever. I'll tag NWSL. I'm gonna clip this, tag NWSL, and be like,
respect your players.
You heard it from us. Respect the players. Exactly. So I'll let you go, Jason. Thank you for recording a nice long podcast with me tonight.
It's a good time.
Listeners, thank you guys for dealing with us taking a 3-week break than last week, us actually recording, but me not being able to get the audio up. So again, youtube.com. It's not youtube.com/MLSAces. I wish it was, but just search MLSAces on YouTube. You'll find us. You'll find last week's episode. Social media, MLSAces on Twitter, Instagram, everything like that. MLSAces.com. You can check out all of our latest blogs. We got some new blogs up from some new bloggers to the team, as well as some old bloggers as well. So you can check all of that out there, guys. Thank you always for your support. We got actually some big news coming, so stay tuned for that. And Jason, I will talk to you next week, bud.
Thank you. Yeah.